Revealed, 3 sacred traps that can devastate your spiritual growth and block heavenly miracles. In the heart of a quaint English village, a darkness loomed over Sarah's little home. The air was thick with an unshakable fear that clung to her heart like wet mist. Each Sunday, as she prayed to St. Jude, she knew she could find strength in her faith. Yet that hope began to flicker as her son, Samuel, grew weaker with an illness no doctor could diagnose. Her faith was about to be tested like never before as Sarah gathered her small family for evening prayers. A strange heaviness filled the room. Shadows danced along the walls, reflecting the turmoil within her heart. 3 sacred traps started to weave their way into her mind. Doubt, complacency, and fear. Was God truly good? Could she still trust him? Clenching her hands tighter, she felt her reliance on God crumbling. It was during these dark nights that her faith felt like little more than a flickering candle, just waiting to be blown out. Yet, each week, the parish was alive with stories of miracle siblings healed, lost jobs restored. Those radiant testimonies ignited flickers of hope within her, warming her cold heart. The energy in the church swirled around her, lifting her from shadows into pockets of grace. But one evening stood above the rest. The air felt electric as Sarah sat among her congregation, the familiar scent of candles and incense enveloping her. God is not finished with you, a voice rang out from across the room. The words pierced through her fears like the dawn breaking through a stormy night. A fellow congregant stood up, eyes shimmering with a fire she'd never seen before. He sees your struggle and holds you close. Those words echoed in her ears, breathing life into her spirit. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Beneath the weight of those words, a flicker of divine awareness surged through her. In that moment, Sarah felt the scales begin to fall from her eyes. It dawned on her that she was on the brink of a great exploration. Each trap she faced, each doubt that they could be dismantled and transformed by embracing faith. But as days rolled on, a battle raged within her. Would she cling to her doubts, or would she take a leap and tap into the fullness of faith? The village outside seemed to hold its breath, a collective hope entwined with her own. With every prayer whispered late into the night, every gaze cast toward the heavens, she felt those sacred moments of doubt shrink beneath the promise of miracles. But a question lingered, one that tugged at the corners of her heart. Could she truly embrace the possibility of a miraculous healing for Samuel, and a renewed journey for herself? As shadows danced across her fragile reality, Sarah sensed the grace of divine intervention lingering just out of reach. As dawn broke over the village, the soft light trickled into Sarah's home, dispelling the remnants of night. Today felt different. The weight on her heart seemed lighter, as though the morning sun had melted away shadows that had clung to her spirit. She rose from bed, a determination unfurling within her. Perhaps today, she thought, would mark the beginning of a new chapter. The gentle stirring of Samuel in the next room brought a tender smile to her face. Despite his struggles, there was a flicker of life in his eyes that always filled her with hope. She tiptoed to his side, brushing a gentle hand across his cheek. "You are a miracle, my love," she whispered, pressing her lips to his forehead. Over breakfast, Sarah's thoughts wandered to the previous night's service. The words of that fiery voice still echoed in her mind, igniting a spark of faith that had long been eclipsed by her fears. God is not finished with you. Each syllable resonated like a heartbeat within her, a reminder that divine love was intertwined with every aspect of her life. But what if? Doubt crept in again, a familiar companion. Could she truly believe in healing? Could she hope for Samuel's restoration? She shook her head, dismissing the shadows as she gathered her family for morning prayers. Bowed heads and clasped hands united them, a sacred sharing of intentions and desires. As they prayed, Sarah felt something shift. It was subtle yet profound, a stirring in her spirit that made her heart race. The weight of complacency faded, replaced by an urgency to seek God's presence. She opened her eyes, tears glistening as she whispered, "Lord, I will trust in your promise. I will believe in miracles." With renewed determination, she decided to venture beyond the village for the first time since Samuel's illness began. There was a shrine dedicated to St. Jude in a nearby town, a place where many claimed to have felt a profound connection to the divine. If there was hope to be found, she would seek it. The journey felt long, the path winding through blooming fields and towering trees. Nature seemed alive with praise, and each step resonated with a melody of faith. As she walked, Sarah embraced the beauty around her, whispering prayers of gratitude. In those moments, she felt an inexplicable peace surround her, as if the very air was filled with divine presence. Upon reaching the shrine, Sarah stood before the statue of St. Jude, his compassionate gaze seemingly centered on her. She knelt, the cool stone beneath her knees grounding her resolve. "Please intercede for my son. Help my faith become unwavering," she pleaded. For a moment, silence enveloped her. It was a sacred stillness, punctuated only by her racing heartbeat. Just when she felt as if she could hear the world around her pause, a soft whisper, like a gentle breeze, danced through her mind. "Trust in the unseen." With that phrase ringing in her heart, Sarah left the shrine, a warmth spreading through her. It felt like a promise fluttering in the air, full of divine mystery. She sensed that something profound was unfolding. On her way back home, Samuel's laughter echoed in her heart, golden and alive. She clutched the small crucifix that hung from her neck, a reminder of her faith's journey. As she approached her doorstep, she paused. A question stirred deep within her. Was she ready for the next step in her journey of faith? Could she truly embrace the miraculous changes that were coming her way? With her heart racing, she knew that the real adventure with God had just begun. As Sarah stepped into her home, the familiar scent of lavender from her garden wrapped around her like a warm embrace. She closed her eyes, letting the fragrance fill her with calm, a gentle reminder of nature's blessings. It was in this sacred simplicity that she found strength, a strength that felt markedly different from the uncertainty she had known for so long. "Samuel," she called, her voice echoing softly in the stillness of the house. The sound of small footsteps raced toward her, and with it came the jubilant smile of her son. Samuel's bright eyes lit up with joy, those remarkable pools of life that could lift the heaviest of hearts. For the first time in ages, she sensed a shift within him too, a flicker of vitality she hadn't seen in a long time. "Look, Mama," he exclaimed, holding up a small piece of wood he had carved. "A boat! For our adventures!" His excitement was contagious, filling the space with laughter. Sarah knelt down, enveloping him in her arms, a mirror to her own dreams of adventure and healing as they spent the afternoon. A sense of joy resonated in their interactions. Conversations flowed easily, painting their hopes brighter than ever before. Samuel shared tales of his imaginary travels, his eagerness inspiring Sarah to dream beyond the confines of their present reality. But deep within her heart, doubts lingered, like whispers trailing behind her brightest moments. That evening, while preparing a simple dinner, a thought pierced through her flurry of tasks. Was she truly believing in the miracle of healing? Or was she simply playing a more pleasant role, seeking comfort rather than divine truth? She set down the pot, letting the weight of that question settle upon her. Perhaps it was time for a deeper commitment, a call to arms in her spiritual journey. "God, I need guidance," she whispered, her voice almost lost in the crackling of the fire. "Am I staying within my fears?" As she turned to the window, the sun dipped below the horizon, streaks of orange and purple unfurling like the colors of hope in her heart. She felt the shadows closing in around her, but in the dying light, a certainty kindled inside her. She had to confront the what-ifs that plagued her. They were Sarah's sacred traps, the fears that could snuff out her faith like the last flickering candle. And in that moment, she grasped her crucifix, her talisman against the doubts. It was time to proclaim restoration, a declaration in the depths of her own soul. She vowed to herself, to Samuel, and to God that she would no longer be a passive recipient of hope. She would stand firm, believing in abundance. The following morning felt electric. An anticipation coursed through her as she awoke with the sun's first light. She decided to return to St. Jude's shrine. There were unanswered prayers still hovering in the air, and she wanted to offer her renewed faith. This was not merely a request. It was an affirmation of trust. As she gathered her small offerings, a heartfelt letter and fresh flowers, her spirit was aflame, but doubts threatened to creep in again. What if the outcome isn't what I expect? The question swirled, yet she felt that soft breeze against her cheek, trust in the unseen. With her precarious invitation to faith held tightly in her heart, she made her way back to that sacred space. How would she confront the uncertainties that awaited her? What profound truths would reveal themselves this time under St. Jude's watchful gaze? As she moved forward, her heart filled with a holy urgency. The true journey of faith was about to unfold, and she didn't want to miss a moment. Would her spirit be met with the miraculous? Would she emerge transformed? With every step, she was both hopeful and terrified, ready to discover what God had in store for her next. As Sarah approached St. Jude's shrine, each footfall reverberated with a mixture of dread and hope. The familiar path twisted through the vibrant garden, bursting with blooms that seemed to dance in the gentle morning breeze. It was as if nature itself cheered her on, urging her to press on into the unknown. Passing the last row of flowers, she reached the sanctuary, a modest, serene space shaded by aged oaks. The simple altar was adorned with candles, their flames beckoning like tiny stars in the daylight. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, her heart echoing the silent prayers she carried. Setting her offerings on the altar, she focused on the letter nestled between the blossoms. It was more than words. It contained her hopes, her fears, and the steadfast belief that healing was within reach. With trembling hands, she placed it gently against the fragrant petals. "St. Jude," she whispered, her voice unwavering, "guide me to what I am meant to see. Help me understand what you wish to reveal." The atmosphere shifted, a stillness enveloping the shrine, wrapping around her like a tapestry woven with divine presence. For a moment, everything faded away, the sound of her worries, the weight of her fears. It was as if God was inviting her deeper into a sacred conversation, inviting her to unearth the layers of faith she had kept hidden. Closing her eyes, she could hear the soft rustle of leaves above her, mingling with the distant chirp of birds. Everything felt alive, pulsating with the energy of promise. In this moment of silence, doubts rose up again, demanding to be acknowledged. What if she had misinterpreted her journey? What if her pursuit of healing was destined for disappointment? "Stop," she breathed in defiance, pressing her palms together. "You are not my truth." Sarah became aware of the three traps that had silently shaped her reality: fear of failure, fear of vulnerability, and fear of the unknown. Each had taken root in her spirit, holding her back from fully embracing God's abundant love and grace. But now was her chance to break free. "I choose trust." The words leapt from her heart, erupting into the air like a prayer. "I rebuke the fear that steals my peace. I release the doubt that clouds my vision." Her voice grew stronger, emboldened by the conviction that her faith could vanquish those shadows. She spoke. A gentle breeze swept through the shrine, rustling her letter and lifting her spirit. There, in that hallowed space, Sarah felt the stirring of transformation. It was as if St. Jude himself whispered reassurances, reminding her that healing was not a linear journey. It was a divine tapestry, woven through moments of uncertainty and courage, through hope and faith. Opening her eyes, Sarah looked out over the garden, vibrant and alive, the embodiment of her own journey. A new clarity washed over her, illuminating the battles she was determined to face. To replace the emptiness inside with the fullness of God's promises, she felt different, lighter. With a sense of release, she stood to leave, her heart beating a steady rhythm of faith. But before she stepped away, a shadow darted across the corner of her vision. A fleeting glimpse of movement further along the path. Intrigued, she turned her gaze, her spirit suddenly stirred with curiosity. What would this newfound light reveal about her journey? Would this fleeting shadow hold a divine message meant just for her? The air thick with possibility, she took a breath, feeling the weight of expectation settle on her shoulders once more. Mingling with her hope, the path forward, shrouded in mystery, began to call to her. As Sarah's heart raced, she stepped into the unknown. The shadow seemed to beckon her along the narrow, winding path lined with ancient trees. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, dancing on her skin like warm blessings. It felt alive, charged with divine potential. A few steps in, Sarah's breath caught as she caught a glimpse of a figure up ahead. The outline was indistinct, but she felt drawn to it, an unexplainable longing urging her forward. The figure vanished into the dense foliage. Just for a moment, doubt crept back in the persistent voices of fear whispering, urging her to turn back. Trust, she reassured herself, invoking the very word she'd declared moments ago. With renewed determination, she pressed on, leaving her worries behind. Each step felt like a prayer, each movement echoing her lightened spirit. She remembered the sacred message of St. Jude. Healing comes not just in the answers, but in the journey, and she was on a journey seasoned by faith. The air blossomed with whispers of hope, wrapping around her like a soft embrace. She reached a small clearing, her gaze drawn to an extravagant tree that stood in the center, its trunk wide and gnarled. It was filled with leaves that shimmered like embodying the colors of the sunrise. The atmosphere thickened, almost electric. In a moment, she felt an overwhelming presence, a sensation riding the edges of her understanding. Here I am, she breathed. What now, Lord? In that moment of openness, a rush of warmth enveloped her. Images flooded her mind. Faces of loved ones, those she desired to heal and bring closer to the love of Christ. Uncertainty mixed with determination. Her mission became clearer. She knew she would not only seek her own healing but also carry their burdens within her prayers. Then, a voice broke through the hush, soft yet resounding. Sarah, your journey is intertwined. You seek clarity, but clarity thrives in shared faith. Are you ready to bear the witness of those who walk with you? The question reverberated deep within her. She hesitated. What if she faltered? Could she carry such a weight? Yet, she felt something stirring within, a warm pulse that urged her to respond. I will, she whispered, feeling her soul alight with resolve. The commitment felt both terrifying and exhilarating. It was the rendering of her fears into a vessel of love. A gust of wind swept through the clearing, and the vibrant leaves danced as if celebrating her declaration. Just then, she noticed a small pouch attached to the gnarled tree. Drawn to it, she opened it gently. Inside were tiny, handwritten notes, evidently prayers left by others. Each one held stories of dreams, of longings, and faith in the face of trials. Tears brimmed in her eyes as she read through these fragments of hope, paths forged by souls much like her own that shared vulnerability. A divine connection formed between her and those anonymous hearts. Lord, help me carry these prayers, she murmured. Suddenly, the air shifted again, thick with a sense of urgency. The feeling of transformation quaked inside her at the realization of what this could mean. Would she find others willing to join her journey, to lift those prayers back to heaven together? But just before she could dwell deeper into that thought, a rustling pulled her attention back to the trees. A figure re-emerged, tall and cloaked in a shroud of light. It was the same shadow she had seen before. What message do you carry? She murmured, heart racing with the thrill of expectation. The figure pointed down a different path, shrouded in a mist that felt both welcoming and mysterious. The invitation was clear, there were more revelations ahead. What awaited her on that path? Would she find the unity she sought, or an even deeper understanding of her purpose? The questions hung like fruit in the air, ripe and awaiting discovery. She stood at the threshold, poised for divine revelation. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart thumping in rhythm with the rustling leaves. The cloaked figure remained silent, an emissary of untold secrets. She felt both apprehensive and curious, standing at the edge of something sacred and life-changing. The path before her was wrapped in a mystic fog, beckoning her to take a step forward. With a quick prayer for courage, she felt her feet move of their own accord, stepping lightly as if walking on sacred ground. As she walked, the trees around her whispered ancient truths. Their branches swayed gracefully, as if affirming her choice. Each footfall whispered of faith and new beginnings, guiding her deeper into the woods. She could almost hear a gentle voice saying, "You are not alone." Before long, she entered a new clearing bathed in a soft golden light. At its center stood 3 stones arranged in a triangle, inscribed with symbols that shimmered like the stars. Sarah instinctively knelt, her hands resting on the warm, smooth surface of the stones. She could feel energy coursing through them, a channel of divine love waiting to be opened. "Remember," the voice from the shadow floated through the air, "these stones represent the sacred traps that can anchor you down. Approach each one with your heart open, so you may learn and be freed." With a heavy sense of purpose, Sarah focused on the first stone. It gleamed brightly, reflecting her yearning spirit. It bore an inscription that read, "Fear." Understanding flooded her. Fear had often gripped her heart and held her back from believing fully in God's promises. "What do you want to teach me?" she whispered, leaning closer. The stone vibrated with a gentle warmth, as if assuring her it was time to let go of her anxieties. Images flashed before her, a parade of doubts, worries about her family and friendships, uncertainties about her own worth. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply, allowing a wave of love and acceptance to wash over her. "Perfect love casts out fear," she recalled from the scriptures, and with each inhalation, she felt a weight lift. Stirring with newfound clarity, she turned her gaze to the second stone. It radiated a pulsating energy, its inscription saying, "Control." How often had she tried to grasp every situation tightly, refusing to let go to God? She recognized that clinging to control only bred frustration, preventing her from truly surrendering her life to His divine plan. Taking a moment, she repeated, "I relinquish control. I surrender my life into your hands, Lord." A rush of warmth enveloped her. It felt as if she were being cradled, cherished in His embrace. Finally, Sarah approached the third stone, its inscription clear, "Isolation." The heaviness of loneliness weighed on her heart, reminding her of times she felt disconnected from others. She opened her spirit to God's truth that unity in faith brings strength and healing. "Lord, show me how to reach out," she prayed, tears of understanding streaming down her face. "Help me be brave enough to draw others close." As the air shifted, she felt an electrifying surge through her entire being. It was an invitation, a call to action, urging her not just to heal herself but to become a vessel of comfort for those around her. She sensed that the message was broader than her own journey. With her heart now aligned, clarity began to crystallize, a simple yet profound realization. Could she really be an instrument for communal prayers? Would others gather with her to share burdens and carry each other's cries to heaven? Feeling the pull of the divine mystery, an innate whisper stirred deep within, reminding her that her exploration was just beginning. She stood breathless in anticipation, ready to delve deeper into the heart of her purpose. What awaited her on the other side of this awakening? Would she find the companions she longed for, or perhaps rise to a greater mission than she ever imagined? The weight of that question lingered in the air, radiant with expectation. A soft rustle broke the spell of silence that surrounded Sarah, causing her to turn her head. The cloaked figure faded into clarity, revealing a serene face framed by a deep hood. "You have begun a journey," the figure said, voice soothing like a breeze. "But remember, awareness alone is not enough. You must act." Sarah felt the pulse of destiny thumping in her chest. She looked around, as if the woods themselves were waiting for her next move. "What do you mean?" she asked, feeling both bold and vulnerable. The figure extended a hand, and with a slight gesture, summoned a vision that filled the air with radiant light. She saw a multitude of faces, strangers, neighbors, people from her past, all united in a circle of prayer. "This is the essence of connection," the figure said softly. "Your heart's yearning to reach out is powerful. God awaits your response." Realizing what she had to do stilled the air around her. The fear of judgment tugged at her heart. But in its place, faith began to flicker like a candle in the darkness, promising warmth and guidance. "How can I gather them?" she whispered, despair momentarily creeping in. "The first step is vulnerability," the figure replied, stepping closer. "To show your own wounds is to invite others to share theirs. In that openness, communion flourishes." Sarah felt a lump rise in her throat. The struggle to share her own hurts had often overwhelmed her. Yet in this moment, something shifted. The weight of the stones had been lifted, and a buoyancy filled her spirit. "I will share," she declared softly, the fire of conviction igniting within. The figure nodded, as if pleased. "Embrace your own brokenness. Through it, you will find grace and healing not only for yourself but for those who require it too." With this motivation, Sarah imagined her friends and family, the laughter they shared, the pain they hid. She envisioned inviting them into a shared space, a safe sanctuary where they could find solace together. Could it be a prayer circle? A place of refuge to share their struggles and dreams? But just as her heart soared, doubt crept in again. What if they refuse? What if they don't understand? "Every effort to share is a seed planted," the figure replied, voice steady and firm. "Trust that the Holy Spirit will cultivate what you cannot see. Some may stand back at first, and that is not your burden to carry. Your job is to open the door. Let faith guide you." Taking a deep breath, Sarah gazed at the trees around her, shimmering under the weight of their truths. She could feel joy bubbling in her bosom like a spring waiting to burst forth. With every promise of connection and communion, it felt like chains were being shattered around her spirit. Her heart exploded with anticipation, and with each passing second, the understanding that this journey was only the beginning ignited a deeper yearning. This wasn't just about her own healing. It was a mission, a call to breathe life into the weary and heartbroken around her. As she rose, empowered, an unexpected thought flashed through her mind. What if her journey extended beyond just her immediate circle? "Will you show me how to reach even those I have yet to meet?" she asked suddenly, heart beating with fervent hope. The figure took a step back, letting an air of mystery hang between them. "The divine has a way of orchestrating encounters. But know this: it begins with your willingness to go beyond the familiar path." With that, the cloaked figure shimmered, and the air turned electric. Sarah felt a wave of energy crash over her, an intoxicating blend of challenge and promise. Tomorrow would not be just another day. It would mark a new beginning, a step into the divine purpose that awaited her. But as she looked ahead, the question loomed, pulling her into deeper contemplation. What sorts of connections lay just beyond her understanding? Would her heart be ready to expand, to embrace them fully? The horizon glimmered with profound possibility, and the answers danced just out of reach. A dawn of uncertainty painted the horizon as Sarah opened her eyes to a world anew. The trees brushed softly against the lightning sky, their shadows stretching like arms ready to embrace the day. She felt different somehow. A deeper sense of purpose pulsed within her, urging her forward. After the encounter in the woods, she knew she couldn't keep this awakening to herself. She found herself wandering through her neighborhood, her heart full of hope buoyed by the promise of connection. As she walked, she breathed in the crisp morning air, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over her in a sacred embrace. Was it really possible to gather her community? Images swirled in her mind, familiar faces of neighbors, their lives flashing by like moments in time. Laughter around the hedges, quiet nods at the mailbox, and weary gazes that sometimes passed as they shuffled about their day. She pondered who among them needed courage found in vulnerability, who was ready to unburden their heart, to join her in prayer. The first house she approached belonged to the Thompsons, a couple she had known for years. Their ever-cheerful greetings belied underlying struggles. Their daughter had been sick for months. The weight of their hidden sorrow pressed down on them, yet they wore smiles that spoke louder than words. Taking a deep breath, Sarah knocked on their door. Each second felt like a small eternity, and her heart raced in anticipation. What if they turned her away? What if they didn't want to share their troubles? But as she made her own heart vulnerable, she felt the grace illuminating the path ahead. Mrs. Thompson opened the door, surprise flashing in her eyes. Sarah, what brings you here? I wanted to check in to see how you're really doing, Sarah answered, her voice steady, reaching toward the vulnerable heart of connection. Mrs. Thompson looked taken aback, her lips trembling. Oh, we've been managing on our own sometimes. Sharing burdens lifts them, Sarah replied. I'm hoping to start a prayer circle, to reflect, to share, to support one another in our struggles. I truly believe it could help. Tears filled the woman's eyes, and without a word, she stepped aside, welcoming Sarah in as they talked and shared. The warm light of compassion enveloped them. It was healing. Sarah felt it like a gentle wave washing over them both, dissolving fears and doubts. She realized this was just what the figure in the woods had spoken of. Her brokenness and willingness to uncover it had opened a door not just for her but for others. After a heartfelt exchange, Mrs. Thompson spoke hesitantly. I think I could ask a neighbor or two to join. Excitement pulsed through Sarah. It felt like the beginning of something sacred. The day flowed on as she knocked on doors, finding kindred spirits hiding beneath the weight of their own struggles. Each yes was a stone added to the foundation of something beautiful as one heart connected to another in shared pain, laughter, and prayer. In each visit, Sarah felt God orchestrating a divine gathering, like threads weaving a tapestry of healing and hope across her community. As the sun dipped low in the sky, glowing shades of oranges and purples danced across the horizon. Sarah's heart was aflame with purpose. Yet, still, a hitch of doubt wound itself around her thoughts. Would everyone embrace this vulnerable gathering? Could she truly reach those who seemed farthest away? The Spirit whispered gently to her, trust in the unfolding of His plan. That night, as she lay in bed, restless anticipation thrummed beneath her skin, mingling with a profound peace. She had taken steps, but the journey was far from over. A new revelation awaited, one that could redefine how she understood her mission, and Sarah felt it flicker in the depths of her soul. What lay ahead in her exploration of faith and connection? And what might she encounter as she dared to step further into the divine mystery presented before her? Dawn arrived once more, its golden rays filtering through Sarah's window and tugging gently at her eyelids. She stretched, her body welcoming the day, but her mind swirled with both excitement and uncertainty. Today was the day she had chosen to invite others into this brave new journey of faith. As she dressed, she could feel the weight of her mission resting on her shoulders, like armor lent by angels. Today she would gather those who felt the call. With each cherished figure in her mind, she prayed for guidance, believing wholeheartedly that this gathering could spark transformation. Setting out, Sarah felt the stirring of the Holy Spirit moving within her. Each step felt light, carrying her closer to a host of souls yearning for connection. The image of a circle formed in her thoughts. Joining hands, harmonious voices, and hearts wide open. In that brief vision, she sensed a rising tide of faith blessing the hearts she'd soon encounter. The first stop today was at Mrs. Lane's house. Sarah fondly recalled the kindness Mrs. Lane had shown her throughout her childhood. With an easy smile, Sarah knocked, the sound echoing with possibility. A moment later, the door opened, and there stood the familiar face, a blend of warmth and weariness in her eyes. Sarah, what a lovely surprise, Mrs. Lane exclaimed, ushering Sarah inside. I wanted to share something special with you, Sarah said, glancing around at the cozy living room filled with silk flowers and family photos. Settling onto the couch, she opened her heart. I'm starting a prayer circle in the neighborhood. I believe we all have burdens we carry, and sharing them can lighten our hearts. The words flowed like sacred water, nurturing the space between them. Mrs. Lane placed her hands on her knees, her gaze steadying on Sarah's. I felt the need for something deeper. Life has been challenging. And there it was, the crack in the facade. Sarah noticed a glimmer of hope flicker in Mrs. Lane's eyes as she leaned forward, listening. Would you join us? Sarah asked gently, her voice dancing with hopeful encouragement. With tears brimming in her eyes, Mrs. Lane nodded. Yes, I think I would. I need community, And this sounds so beautiful. With one heart set free, Sarah continued down the street, knocking on doors and weaving grace as she went. Each encounter felt like plucking flowers from Goddess' garden, sharing their unique beauty with one another. Some doors opened wide, others cracked just a little, letting in the fresh air of connection. From a distance, she spotted Mr. Roberts, tending to his treasured rose bushes. He looked up with curiosity as she approached. She knew he had been grieving the loss of his late wife. "Mr. Roberts, I've come to invite you to join us for prayer. It can be a space to share memories, to heal." Her words echoed the rhythm of hope within her. He paused, then sighed deeply, the weight of years hanging heavy around him. "Sarah, I've kept to myself, but I think I've carried enough for too long. I'd be honored to join you." With every acceptance, Sarah felt the Spirit affirming her mission. The gathering was rooting, taking form, and already entwining souls for something magnificent. That evening, she returned home, a spring in her step and contentment flooding through her veins. Deep within, she sensed that they were on the cusp of something beautiful, yet she couldn't shake a lingering question: what other burdens lay hidden? What hearts were aching in silence? As she prepared for the evening, the quiet whisper of the Spirit beckoned to her again, urging her to remember. Goddess grace does not just cover the burdens. It transforms them. How far would she have to go to draw out this transformation? And what profound revelations awaited as the prayer circle drew near? As dusk settled over the village, painting the skies with hues of lavender and gold, Sarah prepared her home for the very first gathering of her prayer circle. The friendly chatter of neighbors echoed through her mind, filled with laughter and hopeful promises. Yet, a gentle tremor of anticipation coursed through her. It was a beautiful, electric uncertainty. Would others be as ready to share as she was? The table was adorned with simple candles flickering in the twilight, casting friendly shadows against the cozy backdrop of her living room. As she arranged the chairs, memories played in her heart. Each face she had seen when inviting her friends resonated with the promise of healing and vulnerability. Would they hold hands in a circle as she envisioned, surrendering their burdens to God? Would those moments transcend mere healing to bind their hearts in faith? One by one, they arrived, their faces lit with curiosity and kindness. Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. Lane, Mr. Roberts. It was a gathering of wounded hearts, each carrying unspoken burdens yet wanting community. Sarah welcomed them with open arms, her spirit alight with the kind of warmth that transcends human understanding. "Thank you all for coming," she said, her voice steady yet soft. "Tonight, we gather not only to share but to lift each other up. Let us embrace our stories, however heavy they may feel. In the sharing we shall find strength." As the evening unfolded, each person took turns opening their hearts, their confessions spilling forth like fragrant petals from a bloom. Laughter mixed with tears. It was a sacred alchemy of humanity. They spoke of hidden fears, lost dreams, and the courage to believe in healing. Each vulnerability became a stone laid upon the foundation of faith. In those moments, Sarah felt the very essence of community, something holy taking root in their gathering. A palpable energy enveloped the room, each person bound together by thread lines spun of grace. Suddenly, Mr. Roberts sat up straighter, his eyes brightening with newfound resolve. "I have carried the weight of my grief alone for too long, but with you all I feel a flicker of hope." The room stirred with murmurs of agreement, hearts touched by his vulnerability. And then, Mrs. Thompson echoed the sentiment, sharing the chaos of caring for her sick daughter. "I thought I was meant to bear this burden alone, but sharing it with you lightens my heart." Tears flowed freely now, but they were not ones of sorrow. They were the liberating waters of renewal. Sarah watched as dark clouds began to part, revealing rays of divine light, illuminating the joy in their shared experience. It was no longer just her journey. It was theirs, too. As the evening deepened, they huddled closer, hands clasped tightly together. "Let us pray," Sarah said, the weight of a million prayers hanging in the air. As they bowed their heads, each held an intention, a hope of healing, of vulnerability, an offering. And the stillness, a warmth enveloped them, and Sarah felt the divine move as she whispered, "Lord, we bring our troubles to you." Transform our burdens into blessings. Help us to carry one another. The air shimmered with palpable presence. They prayed, the collective faith fueling a divine light that coalesced around them, wrapping every heart in a warm embrace, a reminder that they were never truly alone. Then, in that incredible moment, Sarah sensed a shift within her, not just for herself but for each person in the room. Something profound was at play. Hearts awakened, burdens shared, love multiplied. In their unity, the sacred traps of fear and isolation began to unravel, swept away by the current of faith that flowed freely between them. Morning light would bring many new challenges, but tonight, they had grounded themselves in the assurance that God was with them. He was knitting their stories into something beautiful, revealing a truth that echoed through the heavens. They were bound together not merely by their struggles, but through the grace that came in vulnerability. As they unwrapped their shared experiences, Sarah's heart swelled with gratitude. This was merely the beginning. They could blossom, spreading love and faith throughout their village, shining with testimony. Filled with renewed purpose, Sarah glanced around the circle, the light of hope sparkling in each eye, and she felt them rise together. A new community forged a beautiful testament that God had indeed answered her fervent prayers. Before they departed, Sarah took a deep breath, emotions bubbling over. Let us do this again. Let us keep this circle alive, a continual source of strength. Together we will foster faith, and together we will witness miracles. They embraced that promise, and as laughter filled the room once more, Sarah knew that this was now a movement, a ripple destined for something greater than any of them could imagine, a divine mission of healing, faith, and connection. As the door closed, a radiant silence lingered, filled with warmth and possibility. They were more than neighbors. They were family, bound in faith, ready, willing, and transformed. This is how miracles begin. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and bless others with light. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this journey, sharing your heart with us. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Show your support to this holy journey.